Hello friends, welcome to Mystical Kannada. Today on, we shall try to know more about the history of a sweet language, Kasturi Kannada. If there is anything we humans can do well, it is communication. From the wall paintings of a bull in that cave centuries ago to the use of the continuously evolving language, we've indeed come a long way in terms of communication. It is no secret that the language of a region is the purest, most sacred form of its ideals. Kannada language has been spoken for about 2000 years, with the Kannada writing system being in use for about 1500 years. Kannada is the second oldest of the four major Dravidian languages with a literary tradition. The oldest Kannada inscription was discovered at a small community of Halmidi and dates to about 450 CE. The Kannada script evolved from southern varieties of the Ashokan Brahmi script. Perhaps being the oldest language next to Sanskrit, Prakrit and Tamil, Kannada language has a rich heritage. Kaviraja Marga of King Nrupatunga from the 9th century AD is believed to be the earliest literary work in Kannada. It is a treatise on poetics or a guide to poets. By the 10th century, Kannada had its greatest ancient poets like Pampa, Ranna and Shivakutacharya, who gave their wonderful literature work, Pampa Bharata, Gadayuddham, and special prose work like Vaddaradane, respectively, indicating that classical Kannada literature had fully evolved at least 1 or 2 centuries prior to Kaviraja Marga. But from epigraphical evidence, it can be assumed that the spoken Kannada language evolved much earlier than the Halmidi inscription of 450 AD. But since none of the earlier works have survived, we have to stick to the established norm that written Kannada came into vogue by the 5th century AD. The earliest extant grammar is by Nagavarma and dates to the early 12th century. The grammar of Keshi Raja in 1260 CE is still respected. From this, we can well establish the fact that Kannada was a developed language, both spoken and written from the very early ages. Another surprising revelation suggested that Kannada was also found in several Tamil inscriptions. In the 1st century CE, Tamil inscription, the Kannada word Ayyaya was found. Similarly, in a 3rd century Tamil inscription, the word Oppanappavlan has been repeated throughout the inscription. This is noteworthy because Oppanoppa contains the Kannada word Appa. Several scholars believe that the grammatical categories found in these inscriptions belong more to Kannada rather than Tamil. Kannada as a language has undergone modifications since ages. It can be classified into 4 types. Purva Halegannada from the beginning till the 10th century. Halegannada from the 10th to 12th century. Nadugannada from the 12th to 15th century and Hosagannada from the 15th century. The Kannada literature has been divided into 3 parts: Old, Middle and Modern Kannada. The earliest Kannada work speaks about its grammar and literary styles. Most of the early Kannada texts were poems on religious subjects, such as the 12th century Ramayana by Abhinava Pampa. Speaking about Kannada novels, one of the earliest forms of Kannada literature which can be considered as a novel is Nemichandra's Leelavati. The story narrates the story between a prince and a princess. Another famous Kannada literature is Rajashekara Vilasa by Sadakshara Deva. It is a fictional story written in 1657 which contains both prose and poetry. From the 20th century, Kannada literature was influenced by the Western concept of writing and saw an intermix of writing styles. Modern Kannada literature saw its development when Maharaja Krishnaraja Wadiyar III began writing prose based on Sanskrit epics in the early 19th century. The first modern Kannada novel is Mudra Manjusha by Kempu Narayana. Nanjanugudu Tirumalamba was the earliest age Kannada author, newspaper editor, publisher and printer who strived for the upliftment of women. The dawn of the 20th century saw the emergence of B.M. Shrikantaya, who revolutionized modern Kannada literature and is thus termed as the father of modern Kannada literature. B.M. Shri published his work English Geetegalu, a collection of poems that are translated into English. This era was marked by the writing of new, original work in modern Kannada, while simultaneously leaving behind the old forms. Some other famous 21st century Kannada writers include Kuvempu, V.K. Gokak, K. Shivarama Karanth, Srinivasa, Girish Karnad, U.R. Anantamurthy, and Ambika Tanaya Datta. Kannada is spoken in its various dialects by roughly 45 million people. Kannada is the official language of the state of Karnataka, spoken by the inhabitants of Karnataka and sometimes in Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Goa. There are significant Kannada-speaking population in the United States and the UK. The list of accomplishments of this language has long evolved from the Kannada script. The Kannada literature has bagged 8 Gnanapith awards, which is deemed the highest for any Dravidian language. Kannada language is a designated classical language of India and was the court language of several powerful empires in ancient India as well. Impressive, right? There is also a sharp distinction between the spoken and written forms of Kannada. Spoken Kannada tends to vary from region to region. The written form is more or less constant throughout Karnataka. However, the ethnologue identifies about 20 dialects of Kannada and marked distinctions between formal and informal usage. Kannada is not just a 3-lettered word, it is a history of thousands of years. This is not just a language, it is a heartthrob of millions of Kannadigas. That's all for today, friends. We shall meet in our next video, starting with the Halegannada poets. Until then, like Kannada, love Kannada, and subscribe Mystical Kannada for a lot more interesting videos about Kannada and Karnataka. Sirigannadam Gelge, Sirigannadam Balge.